Welcome back to Scene, the podcast for people who take socials seriously. If you've ever felt like social media has turned into a constant chase for trends, formats, and whatever the algorithm feels like rewarding this week, this episode is for you. Today, I'm joined by Lena Tuck, a freelance social video producer who's worked across brands, creators, and platforms and has gone seriously viral by not doing what everyone else is doing. We talk about why repeatable formats beat trends, how to actually read engagement properly, why the comment section is one of the most underrated strategy tools, and how social media managers can stop burning themselves out trying to keep up. This is a practical, honest conversation about what's working now and how to build content that lasts longer than the 24-hour spike. If you work in socials, content, or brand, you're going to want to hear this one. Let's get into it. Lena, thank you so much for joining us on the Scene podcast. And thanks so much for the Q&A last week. I feel like the traction there, I couldn't believe it when I saw all the notifications. I was like,
Oh,
You-
stop. Like all of my friends being like, "Wow."
well, I've been a big fan of your work, honestly, for a while now. And I'm keen to just sort of get into how you got into content and like your journey into the space. Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, well, I started social media management back in like way back, probably like 10-ish years ago. All the posts that are coming out about 2016, like that was yeah, that was me. And like that was the time when it was like you'd post on Instagram and get like 10 likes and everyone would be like, wow, sick. It was for a muesli company actually. That was my first kind of intro into social media. I studied media and communication at Swinburne, and then I don't know, I wanted to do writing initially. I wanted to be like journalist, writer person, and then I don't really know how the pivot kind of slowly happened into video. But it happened very slowly. But the main like crux of it was I got stuck in Toronto, Canada during COVID, and this is when like TikTok started like becoming a thing, and I started noticing it more and more. And then over time, I was just like, yeah, okay, this is a thing. I can see that people are like jumping on this, and I knew how to like tailor my algorithm to get like all the funny content, not like the weird. Because it was, I remember at the time of COVID, everyone was just like, TikTok's weird, like, what even is it? And I just could see, like, something clicked in my brain. I was like, this is a mini YouTube and this is gonna take off and I know it's gonna be big. So when I came back to Australia, I was doing some freelance stuff and I just like would go on brands' pages to see if they'd had a TikTok, and a lot of them didn't. And one in particular, Pedestrian TV, their TikTok had like 500 followers, and I was like, this is it. This is my in. I'm gonna like build up their TikTok. And I emailed them like cold pitch, did a video where I was like, I want to do your TikTok and I know I'd be good at it, and this is the thing that I want to do. Let me do it. And then I got like a massive response back from them. They were like, we love it, we love it. And then nothing for 6 months. And I had to follow up with them every like 2 weeks, being like, hi Megan, hi Megan, hi Megan, let me do your TikTok, let me do your TikTok. I was just like, for some reason, I was like determined. Um, don't know if I still have that determination. We'll see. But um, yeah, I just like kept following up with them, and then eventually they were like, "Oh, we'll give this girl 2 days, whatever." And I grew their account from like 500 followers to about like 40K. That was like alongside other like helping out other writers and things who had never used TikTok before. But yeah, I would just do explainers. I would do like pop culture. This is what's happening in pop culture. I would do like Gertrude Street Fitzroy got voted the best street. Let's go talk to people about it. And just kind of like, I don't know, the first kind of iteration of that like social media journalist kind of style. But yeah, I just like really learnt a lot of my editing stuff through YouTube, like watching YouTubers, that sort of thing. And then after Pedestrian, I got a job at an agency, a social media agency, We the People. And then I just like kind of just honed my skills more and more there. And I loved just like the innovation of TikTok, and how it just took off, and the way that we could all be like clever and like strategic in the ways that we did marketing. And it was just like so cool and innovative. And yeah, worked on like a bunch of different accounts like Jetstar, Tim Tam, Lucas restaurants that uh like
They're massive. They're massive, aren't they? Yeah.
yeah, in Melbourne. Yeah, and then yeah, I got the job at the ABC, and that was like, I guess like pedestrian was kind of like the smaller like thing of that, and then ABC was like, okay, I'm doing like what I did at pedestrian, but on like a much bigger kind of scale. Um, yeah, so like I guess like that's kind of the sum of it.
Was it hard to get buy-in early doors? Like when you're looking at
Oh,
TikTok
100%.
and
I
you're
was like,
yeah.
I feel like because I was just like one person who kind of had a following, sort of not really. And I feel like people just weren't really taking, like, this was like 2021, 2022. Like brands were just like, TikTok, what is that? I don't know what TikTok is. Don't worry about it. And so now, like 4 or 5 years later, people, I mean, not even 3 years later, people are just like, blah, 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 we need to get on TikTok. And it's like, you've missed the boat. You could have done, well, not even missed the boat, but you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I feel like just like 3 years ago, it was so innovative and such a new way of marketing and such a cool space to like try new things, and just the amount of like innovation and content and cool things that were coming out of brands and creators, and just new ways of promoting product that you'd like never seen before was just something that really interested me. Um, yeah, it was just so like anti-marketing, which I really love.
Well, what was one thing that you sort of understood that these brands didn't? Like you were working on your own stuff beforehand. Was it like attention? Like you're seeing it going, people just need to be hooked in the first little bit and you need to be able to tell your story. Like, was there anything like that?
Yeah, I feel like it was just the, I think because 'cause we'd been like, what's the word? We'd been kind of put in a certain direction of marketing our entire lives, being told like, "This is how you sell, this is how you sell, this is how you sell." And TikTok just like threw out the rule book and was just like, "I'm just someone who's like doing this thing, and I'm not even gonna sell you a product. It's gonna be like the anti way of selling it." So, and again, like the hooks and just like the method of how people are doing it was just something that I thought was really, really interesting and really cool. And um yeah, I don't know how it all kind of just like clicked in my brain, but I think because I'm just inquisitive, like, also hate the hard sell person. And
Me
so it all
too.
just, yeah, so it all just, like, clicked in that sort of sense. Um, and it was just a new way of reaching people that I think we hadn't really seen before as well, like, that sort of algorithm where it was just new content, being shown rather than, like, the original feed of who you're following, like Instagram. Um, so it was all kind of attention driven, and it was like everything was on an even playing field. So it was just sort of like, if you can make something cool, or if you can do it in an innovative way, then you're gonna get ahead, rather than it being like, okay, you have like 100,000 followers. I'm gonna post a like beach photo and get 4,000 likes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It rewarded creativity, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And what about like risks when you're working with brands and stuff and you're going, well, like you're thinking in the future, you're making assumptions, but was there any times where it was like it didn't pay off or you had to second guess yourself where you're like, or maybe this isn't the right approach, like especially with like all the new different content ideas and people are just so used to selling in a certain way,
Yeah.
and not using the platform for what it is.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I definitely think it's like it was a huge learning curve for like all brands. I mean, even like when I worked agency side, it was very much like so many brands, we'd be like, this is going viral, like this is doing really well, like let's just try it. And they were like, no, no, that's not us, that's not us. Or they were just like very risk averse, which I understand. But yeah, I mean, there's elements, and then like when a brand comes back with feedback, and then the kind of message gets watered down a little bit, and it becomes this like really cringe
Yeah.
ad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, what once was, the vision is gone." But, yeah, no, I mean, that's just like any marketing and what you have to deal with clients, but obviously it's all like, I think the biggest thing about TikTok as well is like it's all just test and learn. Like there's no one's gonna remember that weird whack TikTok that got 24 views.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just like, let's just try and do anything and everything, and yeah.
Do you reckon that's how your skills get better too when you're just sort of testing that type of stuff and
Yeah.
seeing what works? Because I love seeing it people who just like I hate using the word hustle, but like they're driven and they show up, they're consistent, and you can see that like not everything hits, but they keep doing it anyway. And I feel like
Exactly.
those are the types of fit people that tend to get somewhere because they stay consistent and they got that drive to just keep going, even when the results are what they ideally want early.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think again, like no one's gonna remember that weird TikTok you posted. And I also need to remind this for myself as well. I get so in my head about posting content on my own thing. I'm like, oh, but it's not like proud of my brand strategy. Like what I need and then it's just like, okay, just like post it. And if it does well, great. If it doesn't, like no one's probably gonna remember it or even say I think that's like the biggest misconception with like low views is everyone's seen it and gone, "That's so lame, that's so cringe, how could you even post that?" But in reality, it's like no one actually saw it.
What about like posting for yourself versus posting for a brand? Do you feel more pressure when it's for yourself? Like you were saying, does this?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I get in my head about literally everything I post. And it's like doesn't matter at all. And then the stuff you put so much energy and effort into will flop hardcore, and then the stuff you like, it's like, "Whatever, I'm over it," and then goes really well. But I think that's just, I don't know, the nature of the algorithm and, just not overthinking it really.
Yeah. What about when you find something that works? Do you double down on that type of strategy and then keep experimenting? Is that sort of how you think about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I mentioned this in the questionnaire, but I think when brands find a good thing, they, for some reason, always just, like, go the other way. They're like, "Oh, that did really well. Let's do something else."
Yeah.
So it's like the double down, especially now when, like, every single person is posting, content on TikTok. Like, so many brands are posting on TikTok. Like, being known for one thing is, like, amazing. Like, if you can be the brand that's like, "Oh, that brand that's posting weird, wacky content," or, like, doing the shitposty memes or like, I feel like in because 'cause we're so inundated with algorithm content, everything, we don't know, like, people's faces or I mean, sorry, we don't know people's names anymore. We know people's like, what they do.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing of just, like, doubling down on, like, the thing that you're good at and the thing that is getting views. Which, like, also brings me to the, like, series format, like Subway Takes and, like, that Roomies show and Boy Room and that kind of, like, more TV style of content that we're seeing is, like, so anti-selling as well. Um, yeah, so I feel like that is just also a new kind of, thing that's taking over the algorithm, which I think is really clever because it's just like, yeah, again, throwing out the rule book of social media content and kinda going in the reverse of, like, we're going back to TV because we know where eyeballs are.
What about like trends versus taste? Like you're seeing all these trends and then you've got your own taste. Like how do you sort of balance that out?
Yeah, I mean, trends is an interesting one because I think, like, they do work in terms of awareness, but I don't think it's, like, the way to grow anymore. I think, like, you can have something that takes off and does really well, but like, one single video, but yeah, it's again about repeating that. Like, just in this world currently in 2026 where it's just we're so inundated with different content, um, I think you just have to be so, like, hyper locked into the feed and chronically online and know the conversation so well to kinda make an impact on TikTok at the moment. Um, yeah, that's I feel like but and then I think you can go the other way where it's like this kind of, formatted series where, like, that kinda doesn't really involve trends whatsoever. It's more just like have a good host, have a good person that, is good to interview, or it's like a hot take or, like, street content, or you're talking about a topical kind of topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That stuff can do really well, but, yeah, I think I mean, trending content still does well, that's not to say it doesn't, but I think there's just, like, you have to be so good at it now, like,
Yeah.
everyone can kinda smell the bullshit, I guess.
Yeah. And you mentioned like strategy living in the comment section. Like, is that a really good way to grow? Like I tell people when I'm talking to them, if you don't know kind of what to post or you've got that sort of writer's block or whatever, creative block, it's like just go jump on other people's stuff and like join in on the conversation. Because I feel like people just like post and ghost and expect everyone to just get all over their shit, but no one jumps on anyone else's stuff. It's like, why would I expect people to comment on my stuff when I don't do the same for other people?
Yeah, I find it so interesting when brands don't reply to comments or creators don't reply to comments. But yeah, I do think like looking through comments and looking through like areas that of your like niche or industry and seeing what people are saying is like the perfect way to like craft a new TikTok or like explain something or use that as what are people actually interested in. Like yeah, I think that's a hugely underrated way that people are still not using, which is wild to me. But yeah.
What about with like say negative feedback or something? Say you put something out and you don't get the response that you want, it could go the other way. Like,
Mm,
how do you sort of navigate stuff like that if you've ever come across or experienced
mm,
that before?
um I guess, like, I mean, I do love the brands that kinda double down on that sort of stuff, like, they'll like, take a negative comment and then reply to it with, like, some sort of take, or they'll be like, "Yeah, maybe our product does suck, but also like, this is the thing that's good about it." Like, being hyper aware of what is happening, I think is just, like, the key to growing on TikTok or growing on social media, at the moment, of just knowing your audience and knowing every single thing that's happening around it and not choosing to ignore it because, like, people in the comments or people viewing it can read the negative comments, um, and it's one of those things, it's like, it's the elephant in the room, you may as well address it.
I love that. And I feel like it's a good opportunity to turn things around as well, you know?
Definitely.
And like being social and being on social, how important is it to be fast and just
Mm.
be like on it? Because I feel like a lot of people just like posting and then just sort of letting it go where, joining in on the conversation, like you posted it for a reason, sort of
Yeah.
getting around it, but also probably the mental barrier of always being on and reactive too.
Yeah, I mean, I started this, like, 10-hour screen time, page because I personally was just seeing all this chronically online stuff, and I'd talk to my friends about it, and they'd be like, "Huh?" But starting that has been definitely, like, what's the word? Like a black hole almost, like, it's never ending, like,
Yeah.
there'll be one, like, niche drama that I'll find and be like, "Okay, yeah, I need to post about this, everyone's talking about this," and then, like, 2 days later, it won't matter, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's definitely been a balance of, like, making these posts and getting them out timely and then realizing, like, in a week, no one's gonna care about it, so like, I think it is really important to be fast, and I think, like, a really good example of this is that Topgolf, company that really jumped on that Logan fence trend. Like, that was, like, so brilliant, it was so reactive, it was so quick. They, like, threw a whole party for Logan, this for one guy that commented on that random video. I think that was, like, brilliant, and I'm sure the social media manager of Topgolf was, like, losing their mind that week, but I think stuff like that is just when it is in the zeitgeist and, like, currently in the conversation, like, you have to jump on it, especially if it's, like, your brand being talked about. One thing as well and another thing, Zoran Mondani and his wife met on Hinge, and, like, everyone was like, "This is huge news for Hinge." I looked at Hinge's Instagram, they'd done nothing. They had, like, no posts whatsoever. They had this, like, weird kind of, like, ethos of, like, "We don't post on Instagram." I'm like, "This is the prime opportunity." Um, yeah, so not that I'm a anyway.
No, no, I love that. What about like if you say if you don't have an opinion or you can't come up with something that makes sense or enough where you're like, I want to put it out there, do you just let it slip by and pass by and wait for the next one? Or do you kind of force yourself to come up with an opinion and have a point of view to join in on the conversation while it is trending?
Definitely depends. I mean, like, for the 10-hour screen time stuff, I've just, like, it'll just genuinely be dependent on, like, do I have time that week to actually post about it? But yeah, it's a hard one because, like, I mean, obviously, yeah, again, it's just time, but I think if from a social media manager point of view, I think jumping on it in a clever way where it's relevant to your brand is key, and if you can, but I don't think that's always the case, and, like, sometimes you do see brands trying to jump on a trend where it's not really relevant to them, and you're like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
nah, that didn't land."
Yeah.
Um, so it is a fine balance, and, yeah, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but that it is like it is I don't know, it's all psychological, like, it'll either hit or it won't hit.
And systems and structures, like I find hard as a creative person. I feel like I've got like the ADD brain where I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like all my best ideas just come when it's not in that state, but I
Yeah.
understand the importance of having rhythm and routine. But yeah, what are your thoughts on those system and structures to make sure that you're consistently sort of showing up, but you're also having the freedom to just sort of experiment as well with your own mind?
Mm. Yeah, I think, I mean, from a like 9 to 5 point of view, it is really hard to do it in those set hours and like have it be, like come to work at 9:30 and be like, yeah, I got the best ideas, or like try and think of ideas, or like deep scrolling TikTok being like, I need something. Then I've definitely been there. But from a freelance perspective, I feel like just having those like times to sit and do nothing, even though as a freelancer, that is like the scariest time because you're like, "Oh my God, I'm I'm not working, I'm not being productive, I'm gonna lose all my money, oh my God, I'm not gonna get any work ever again." But like those are the times you need to just kind of ride the wave, relax, and take the mental health time for yourself.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's such a reactive industry, hey, and I love it. Like, I personally love being on my phone and consuming content and getting ideas and stuff, but it does get to a point where it feels like it's the hamster wheel sometimes, where I'm
For
just like,
sure.
oh my God, my brain is fried. I feel like I've seen the same thing a million times. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I just need to go for a walk or something, or look up and touch some grass or something. But
100%. Yeah. No, I think getting off your phone
yeah,
is
yeah.
the best thing.
Have you had like early burnout signs or anything that like, or have you experienced burnout where you've just pushed too hard, where you've been like,
Oh,
oh, I've
100%.
cooked myself here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I feel like a few jobs I've had has definitely been like hamster wheel, hamster wheel, hamster wheel, and yeah, you do get to this point where you're like, it never ends. Like content is forever. Like this is just my life forever. But I genuinely think like the importance of just like stepping back and being like, this is not deep. Like it's you think it's deep in the moment. You think it's like gonna be do or die, emergency surgery, ER. What
Yep.
that thing? It's PR, not ER.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just yeah, you need to just go outside, go to the beach, get a coffee, just sit your ass down and relax. And that's me talking to me.
A lot of the advice we give is actually talking to ourselves, hey,
Yeah.
because we like go through it. What about like metrics that matter to you in social when you're posting stuff? Like, what are the things that you're looking for where you're like, yep, tick that off. Like, that's what we were going for.
Um, I mean, honestly, like I said earlier and in the questionnaire, I feel like just comments, like if people are commenting, if people are engaged, if people are commenting like, "Oh my God, I saw that," like, or like laughing at something that happened in the end of the video, I think that's like a real tell. It's like, okay, that's really hit. And people are engaged and like they're consuming the content and like notice things that I've actually put in the video. And um I mean, look, I do look at views, let's all be honest. I feel like we all look at views and go, "Oh my God, yay," or whatever. But I do think, like, I am valuing comments and just genuine connection over views at the moment, and yeah, I had like one like I posted a YouTube short and I never post YouTube shorts of like this 10-hour screen time stuff that I'm doing. And one person commented being like, I never comment, but this was a really great video. And I was like, oh man, like that's so nice. And it's easy to dismiss like those sort of people and like those comments that are just like, I like this. But I think it's nice to just like have that feedback. But again, like, I mean, it also just depends on like from a social media manager point of view, like who are you targeting? What's your audience? Like looking at back end metrics of demographic, age, location, all of those sort of stats is hugely important. Like that's something we valued a lot in ABC was like hitting the 18 to 25 kind of demographic. And we did that really successfully with our content. Like I included a lot of, like, Vine sound effects, like, I would have this pack of sound effects downloaded on my computer, and I would use it all the time for, like, Dr. Karl videos,
Yeah.
and every time it would hit, and it took the ABC or it took me a long time to convince the ABC that, like, the Vine boom is, like, gonna bring the youth to the ABC.
Vine, I miss Vine. That would just literally, really.
Yeah, it's coming back, and there's like gonna be no AI content on it apparently. Like the founder is like heavy no AI.
Well, how do you see AI, especially these days with all the slop and things like that? I feel like it can help in the creative process around like structuring thoughts and different things on the back end, but the creative output, I think,
Yeah.
is just a bit trash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't or haven't used ChatGPT in my life, like I have, and I do think it is, like, a great jumping off point or just, like, if you need to consolidate information, it's a great tool for that, but I really hate the generative AI, and I think it's now become, like, something that people just go to immediately when they need to get stuff done, and it just, like, oh, make as a creative, it just makes me sad, but,
Yeah.
anyway.
I just feel like ideas are cheap now, and I think execution is
Yeah.
what matters. When you see people actually like follow through with stuff
Mm.
and actually do it, I think that makes the difference. I think you can tell when things are lazy or just not well thought out, or they don't really know what they're talking about. They've just kind of just copied and pasted stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
especially with video, like a year ago, like videos and stuff were trash. Now these days, it's obviously getting a little bit better and stuff. But as a tool, I think it can definitely help, like removing things from videos and just like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But replacing thoughts and strategy, I'm not too sure about that. What about your creative process? Like, if you, for a new idea for a video, like how do you get started on something like that?
Wow, that's a great question. I personally just I think I've saved so many TikToks or just like have such a like great memory for some weird niche creator that's done this one kind of nugget thing back like 2 years ago, and I'll and I'll pull it out and I'll be like, I have a reference, I know I could like because when you're pitching ideas to clients, like when you say, oh, this creator, POV, you're shopping and you need to find an outfit for $2 or whatever. Um Trying to, like, pitch that to them verbally versus, like, seeing a reference, like, even if it's, like, a kind of half removed reference, um, yeah, it's just about that and, like, kind of going through the motions of the sort of anti-marketing as I mentioned before. Like, I've been working with this band and they're releasing an EP and they're like, "How do we do it without, like, being salesy and promotion?" I think and I was just like, "I think you just need to lean into the promotion and be, like, massive infomercial vibes of just like, "Hey guys, we're blah blah blah, and our manager told us to sell this EP, so here it is," and like just lean into the full hard sell because sometimes it's just that's more of the tone of voice than going the other way where it's like trying to be subtle, but at the end of the day, you are selling something. So I don't know. I think like leaning into the cheese is good, but yeah, sorry, my process is like I I mean, from a pop culture standpoint, it's like I will just consume so much content and be like, "Okay, there's this one niche thing that someone's talking about. Um, I'm gonna pull that thread and then be like, okay, I wanna make an explainer video about it. Why are people talking about it? What's the, conversation around it?" And it'll go from there. But in terms of brands and pitching to brands, yeah, it's just like finding references, finding things that people are talking about. Yeah, it's all kind of like based around the current conversation and Gen Z-ifying things, I guess.
And I think like people these days are scared of sending the same message twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. It's like, all right, that's done. We've done the promotional video. It's like,
Yeah.
well, hang on. There's like a month, 2 months of this to just like
Yeah.
people aren't just going to see that one post and just know, you know?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, doubling down. I think doubling down is a big thing with TikTok and social media these days. And like, I don't think anyone's gonna get sick of it. And even if they do, it's like probably not the audience anyway. Like, I think in the way of the algorithm where like we're not really being fed um chronologically anyway. So you may as well just try a bunch of stuff. And I love trial reels actually. Like trial reels is a big thing for me at the moment because it's just like you can post it like the same video 5 times and it'll go to a different audience every single time. So it's great.
We've tried playing around with trial reels, but I don't think we've got anywhere near where it needs to be. So it's cool to actually talk to someone who actually uses that
Yeah.
and it works. So you've seen it definitely work for you with all the messaging and types of things that you want to do.
Definitely, like, definitely not every post I do with it hits, but there's definitely been at least, like, 10 or so that have, like, really hit, and then I'll be like, "Okay, I'm gonna put that in the feed." Um, so I think it just depends on what the post is and, like, who you're posting it to and all of that sort of stuff. Um, but yeah, it seems to have worked.
Yeah, I love that. What about like the differences between Instagram and TikTok, for example? So you've got this piece of creative,
Mm.
and do you pump it across all the different platforms, um, and just sort of that's just how it is, or do you think about the behaviors when they're using the platform and how they might interact with that piece of content?
I think from like my perspective, I will just post from TikTok, genuinely post the exact same thing on Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, like the same, like TikTok text, everything. And I've never been dismissed by the algorithm because of that. Because I think people are just so used to scrolling on any app that I don't think like Instagram will come along and say like you have to use the Instagram font and use it, but I don't think it matters in my experience anyway. But yeah, I like I will post the same thing, but from a brand perspective, I mean that's also all up to your audience and like it will like I've definitely seen brands that will post something completely different on Instagram versus TikTok and it'll work well for them and that's how that'll go, and I respect that.
What about like common mistakes that you see people make in socials and in content where you come across and you're like, they just haven't unlocked that yet, or there's certain things that people are doing that's just like maybe it might be last year's type of setup and strategy. Do you see that kind of a lot?
Yeah, and I always think of, like, the social media manager who's probably pushed that, like, a month ago, and they've just now gotten it approved. Um, mistakes, I think just, like, thinking that my mistakes would be thinking that social media content is, like, secondary to, like, an overall strategy, like, I think that so many brands, especially working agency side, we're like, "Yeah, yeah, we just need to post a TikTok. We just, like, get a TikTok up." And we're like, "Okay, but that does take time and money and effort."
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just a single video that you just post and it's an afterthought. It does take like, it should be part of a structural, like, arm of an entire strategy, absolutely. So I think when brands just post something that's like a single pan of a product and there's text on screen, there's just like something that's just like, just a basic post. I do think now in 2026, you just have to put so much thought and creativity and you got to work 10 times harder than you did 4 years ago, 3 years ago, which is great and bad.
Yeah. What are some little things that people can do that can actually like tune up their social game where it's just like you're seeing those common mistakes, but you're like, if you just added maybe a header text or different camera angles or something like that, are there things like that where you're just like, yeah, just do
Oh yeah,
that and it'll improve?
text on screen always, and I think giving context as to what you're posting and what this is always a winner. I would say, like, there's been a few Instagram pages that I've been following that kinda do, like, monthly trend, like, "This is what's trending this month," or "This is what you could be talking about this month." Those are quite good to be following. Um, yeah, I don't know, it also just depends on the brand as well and, like, what they're wanting to target, but I'm trying to think of examples of marketing that I've seen recently that I'm like, that's amazing."
Like using polls and like say if a platform brings out new features, are you one to just do it straight away because you know that they're probably going to push that type of content because they want people to use it? Or is it like sticking true to kind of what you do?
I am more of a late bloomer when it comes to, like, new features. I think I'm always like, we'll see." But that's just me, but, yeah, I'm always, like, tuned in to when those things are happening, and I'm always like, "Yeah, I'm clocked in, I wanna know what the new thing is." But just in terms of Instagram growth and TikTok growth, I'm definitely seeing a lot of brands and, like, creators grow huge followings in the space of, like, 3 months just from Reels. And I feel like it is kind of becoming like what TikTok was maybe 3 years ago. So I think there is more room for growth on Instagram Reels currently. Um, yeah, I think TikTok is very saturated right now, and yeah, I mean, that is what it is. Um, yeah, actually, I don't know if you've been watching all the heated rivalry stuff.
I've
Um
heard about this show or movie or whatever it is. It's ice hockey, yeah? Ice hockey. Is it ice hockey players? Yeah. Yeah.
But they're like for a show that had a really small budget, they had a like social media team. And their TikTok game was really good, like really, really good. They seem to capture all of these moments with the cast, and have put it out just really well, and they've captured these things that people like they knew that the fans would be like really on board with. So I thought that was really interesting for a show that they had no idea was going to be this huge. Captured a lot of content and a lot of kind of moments that would maybe have flopped, or
Yeah.
like maybe like they must have had that social media manager just like running around filming like absolutely everything. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting as well.
What about like working with established brands? Is that harder than starting stuff from scratch where there's legacy stuff there? They've put out things like to change the vibe or just to create some new stuff for something that's been around for a long time. Like even big successful brands and things like that are doing things well but want to sort of take things to the next level. Or is it easier just to go in sort of with a blank piece of paper and just make it happen?
I think social media is its own like audience and conversation and community, and a really good example of this is what's that brand? I think who was it? Sorry, let me just have a think for a sec. There was a brand that did something completely different, like, on TikTok versus, like, all their other platforms. Maybe it was, like, some cleaning product. If I think about it, I'll
Yeah.
let you know, but they just did, like there's, like, the brand that everyone knows and loves and, like, the traditional marketing, blah, 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 and then their TikTok presence was, like, so unhinged, and it was just, like, so, like, memey, shitposty, and everyone was like, "What the hell? Like, I can't believe we're seeing this from this brand." And I think that was something that was super interesting where it's like they knew where the Gen Z audience was and they knew how to talk to them. They knew that conversation. And then like the other marketing was just like, yes, we're a cleaning product and we've been around for ages. So I think that is also a really interesting thing where like TikTok and social media can be a completely different conversation and strategy and um brain power and how you approach it versus like I mean it is a completely different audience at the end of the day of like the Gen Z age group versus like the mums that are actually shopping in store. I thought that was super interesting. I'm trying to think of who it was. It might have been like anyway, I'll figure it out.
Scrub daddy.
It might have been like Scrub Daddy or like something. It was like
The ShamWow. The guy with the eye.
what the shampoo. Wow. They bring back the infomercial marketing. I also think that needs to make a comeback. Like it's so cringe that it works. You know what I mean?
I love that stuff too. And I think like people who can attack boring industries and boring businesses are the ones where like I think everyone tries to go for the sexy and cool because we're
Yeah.
kind of in it. But like seeing old boring legacy businesses and turning them like that's the sort of stuff that
Yeah.
I love seeing because it's like it feels like it's so contrarian, it's so opposite to what people think,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what drew me to this industry in the first place. I was like, "Oh, it's like it can be really fun and really cool and just like so." Yeah, it is exciting. Like the things that move really fast. You're like, "What the hell?" Top Golf is gonna like that whole Top Golf thing. We're all gonna forget about in like 2 months, but in the moment, you're like, "This is amazing." So maybe it is just like perfect for ADHD people.
And like I think like people riding the high of like one successful thing, like what you mentioned, like you just move on. So it's like like keeping it up. It's not just the one thing, or it's not just the
Yeah.
one campaign. It's just like because people forget about it, people move on, and I think everyone just thinks that they look at your stuff as much as you do, but they don't. You know?
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly, and I think yeah, that's I listened to a podcast ages ago, with this girl named woman named Caitlin, and she was saying, like, people are gonna remember, like, the coffee chat sorry, people are gonna bring you up sorry, think of your brand or your business or like what you're making as though someone's talking about you having coffee with their friend, like, oh, this is the girl that makes XYZ, or this is the person that makes XYZ. They're not thinking about like your brand slash username or like at Lena's doing things. They're thinking about, oh, she's the girl who sneaks into pools.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
no, I love that. And before I let you go, is there any sort of career advice you wish you got earlier, where it's just like, oh, if someone kind of told me that, I'd get to where I want to quicker?
Ooh, I think just like the biggest thing I learned with sneaking into pools, which we haven't even talked about that either.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. How did that all come about?
I had a roommate who just introduced me to the fact he like opened my brain one day and was like, you know, you can just walk into hotels, right? And you can just like use a pool if you're like walk in with confidence. And I was like, wait, what? And then like that for like that little nugget of brain just became into my like consciousness of being, and I was just like, wait, that applies to every single thing in life. If you just like do it with enough confidence, people will believe it. It's like the Lulu is the Salulu.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my apartment in Melbourne had no air conditioning and it was really hot, and I was like, I'm just gonna sneak into hotel pools, see what happens, see if like I can get away with it. And every single time I got away with it because I'm just like, I mean, to my benefit, I'm like a 5 foot tall female. Like no one's really gonna be like, excuse me. Um, but yeah, I just walked in with confidence and was like, oh, is this sorry, the pool's this way, isn't it? Oh, okay, cool. Um
Yeah.
it worked out for me every single time. And then I was like, wait, should I post about this? Or is that like a bit unhinged? I don't know. And then I just kept posting about it. And then, yeah, I've had people at festivals just be like, "Boo girl."
Is it the
Um,
fear? Is it the fear then? Because I think like a lot of people can hold themselves back because, oh, I don't want to look shoot, or do I click post? I feel like the ones where you're just nervous to click it, they're the ones that probably you should click.
no,
Post it.
absolutely. 100%. And like, I mean, you can take it down. You can delete it. You can do an apology video if you really I mean, not that I think that, but like, I think that yeah, you can kind of, like, clock the post within the first maybe, like, half an hour if it's gonna, like, go sour, go a way that, like, you're not expecting it to, but I also think, like, yeah, taking the risk is a huge one. But back to the career advice, I would say, like, just, like, the kinda rejection therapy of it all, like, I think that's a huge, huge thing, like, I've my motto in life is like, it's how far can I get until it's a no? Like, you just have to keep pushing, keep asking for what you want, email that person, they're not gonna reply, so what? Like, pedestrian was like the prime example of this, of just I followed up with them for genuinely 6 months until I got some sort of, like, information back from them because I just knew that, like, this was gonna be my step up. Um and I think we live in such a world where you can just call someone up, you can email someone, you can DM someone, you can put your work out there, you can have a portfolio and just like cold pitch yourself to Charlie XCX and she might even reply. Like, I think the accessibility we have now is crazy. And I think we're the ones stopping it from, like, we're the ones stopping ourselves. And I also need to take this advice as well. But Charlie XCX, if you're listening, I want to work with you.
No, but I love that. You don't know until you try, and I think once you get that reply back, you're like, wow, this works. And I think it gives you the confidence to just not give a shit and just be like,
Absolutely.
why not? Why? Yeah, the worst they can say is no, and if they don't reply, you can keep going.
Exactly, exactly. Like, I think it's yeah, that's a huge part of it, and, like, huge what we live in this digital age is, like, it's all very accessible, and, yeah, you never know what opportunity is around the corner. Like, I've had some crazy experiences just with a phone and a dream.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And Lena, honestly, I love this chat. There's so much gold in
Oh,
here. I
thank
feel like
you.
we've got to do a round two again soon, I reckon, because
Um,
I'm picking up what you're putting down. But appreciate everything. And honestly, I need to start jumping in more pools, I reckon.
yeah, 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 100%. Honestly, that's on my 2026 list of, like, more pools, more just, like, asking people for random stuff.
Oh, I love that. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.